Hello again and welcome to the channel. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. I hope you've all had a wonderful week and have been able to play in your craft room. I've been having a little bit of a play over the last day or so and thought to myself, it's time for me to do some ID cards. So that's what we're going on with today. So I've done a little bit of prep off camera, but we're going to build one together on the video today. But before we start, I just wanted to say a big hello to all my regulars. Thank you for your lovely comments. And a big hello to my new subscribers. Welcome to the community. I've had a few new subscribers come on board, so I hope you really enjoy the videos and deep dive into some of the content that's on the channel. And even if you're watching some of the older videos, leave a comment and let me know what you think about them and what you liked about them. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what we're doing today. And I've got an example to show you, and I've got a few resources to also show you what I'm using. But we're making today some identity cards. And you can see that I have stamped out the identity card and I've used Tony's stamp. So this is Crafty by Tony, and I think it's called Identity Card. And I bought this from Etsy last year sometime, I think, or maybe early last year, and I absolutely love it, but I haven't played with it enough. But I decided to play with it, and you can see that I mass stamped out a whole lot of bases so that I can just have them made. I'll keep them in my stamp, but I made 3 and I've put some photos on them, and I wanted to turn them into little journals. So almost like an identity card journal. And you might be thinking, well, Annie, how did you make the base? Well, I'm joining in on Junky June, and I think this might be my last Junky June. And I'm using old gift card folders. So you can see here that I've got a bit of a collection from Pure Indulgence. Now, Pure Indulgence is a beauty salon here in Queensland. And I often get gift cards. I've got some here actually from 2024. This one I had a Celebrity Eye Trio series, 6 of them. This one I had a Holiday Glow facial 3-pack. And my family buys them for me, and the gift cards come in these little folders. Well, the folders are just so substantial. You can see they're chipboard, and then they're completely covered, and I have been saving them for years. And I've got a few to play with today, but I have converted one into a identity card for a midshipman so that I can put it into my cruising journal. So let's have a little look at that. But my hero for today is actually this lovely lady, and her name is Edith Clark. And she is a botanical illustrator. And so she's our hero for today. So we're going to be doing our theme on botanical illustration. And I have another one here, and his name is Harry Morpham, and he's from the UK. He's from London. But Edith, she is from the United States, and so is our midshipman. So let's open it up, and you can see that I've put a press stud closure on this, and that was because I wanted to have a play with this press stud fixer that I got in Europe. And I think I showed this on a recent haul video from my Europe thrift video. And we picked this up, my husband found it, so I thought I'd have a play with that. And it's got press studs in it. And so I've used a press stud fixing to close this little journal. But let's open it up. You can see that I just used some ribbon with the press stud, and then it is glued on the back, and you can see on the back he's got a whole lot of stamps on it. And he is a midshipman working for the United States Lines. So I've just used an old image, a vintage image. And in here, inside our little gift card holder, I have glued in our identity card that I've stamped out. And then I've used some scrapbook paper that had stamps all over it to create his stamping page. And another page here to put some more stamps on or some journaling. And then we have some secrets that are all hidden in here. And we have a photo of his fiancée, and her name is Catalina. And there's some stories tucked in here and some tickets. So she's dressed up in a sailor outfit, even though she's not a sailor, she's a nurse. But let's find out about Catalina. Now, our midshipman's name is George, and he, as I said, works for the United States Lines. And when he was on one of his sails, he met a lovely group of ladies that were nurses, and they were traveling from East Coast America to West Coast America. And he met Catalina. And this is Catalina here. You can see she's the one that's got the gooey, lovey eyes that's looking at him. And he was just mesmerized by her. And these 4 nurses, as I said, they were relocating, and they thought, what we'll do is we'll go on a Panama Canal cruise to relocate to the West Coast to go to our new nursing jobs. Well, they ended up dating, George and Catalina, and he's got a photo in his ID journal. And he's got a postcard from Catalina Island, and it's got a love letter on the back of it. Let me read it to you. To my dear George, I still smile whenever I think of our day on Catalina Island. It was the happiest surprise of my life, and I shall always treasure the moment you asked me to marry you. Until we are together again, know that your promise is never far from my thoughts. Take good care of yourself, my darling. With all my love, Catalina. So that's got tucked in his little journal as well. And then he's got space here for more stamps. You can see that he's been to quite a few different places. Then on the back here, we've got a few little other tucks. We've got some knots that he always forgets how to tie some of his knots. So he's got some sailor's knots. And on here, he's got a photo of the ship that he was working on when they were going through the Panama Canal. And so it's a special cruise for him. And one of his biggest dreams is that both him and Catalina will one day be able to work on a hospital ship together, maybe like a Mercy ship or something like that. So he's got a few little bits and pieces in there, and he's tying his knots information. And then this one here is a lighthouse, and he's got a few little secret lighthouses tucked in here that people don't know about. He's got a bit of a obsession with lighthouses. So there we go. There's a nice little identity card with a few little extras and stories of George's life as a midshipman and his new life ahead with Catalina. So that's what we're making today. We're making a story in one of our gift card folders, and we're actually going to do it, as I said, on Edith. So let me get set up and we'll start building Edith's story in her journal. Okay, so like I said, I've done a little bit of prep. We have a folder here to start with. We have a back and we have a cover. And then I've got a whole lot of bits and pieces in my tray here to the side of a story that can unfold. So let's get started first with putting our journal together. And I need to take out this thick piece of cardboard that is in it because it's quite thick and it's designed to hold the gift card. So we'll rip that out. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel that off and deconstruct that and try and get as much of that off as I can. Now you can see here that I have created a cover, and we have our front cover, and all I've done is I have found an image of a lily and I've stamped a few stamps on the back as if Edith, here she is, our hero, she's a botanical illustrator, and she has had a few stamps put on the back of her ID journal. when she's been to different events. So we'll talk about Edith a little bit along the way as we're building the journal, but I have got this pulled off enough. So what we might do is we might put the folder together first, and you can see that I've got some William Morris prints here. Now, the reason I've got William Morris prints is because Edith has been working for a very long time as an illustrator. So here she is. She's from America, and her date of birth is the 12th of September 1934. And she does quite a bit of botanical illustrations for different artists. And she has been contacted by the William Morris Foundation to go to a whole lot of flower shows and botanical gardens and different events in America to represent them from the UK, to look at how they can use some of William Morris's illustrations of his botanical work in America. So I've got quite a few illustrations here from different artists that she's been inspired by, and I've got a postcard here that she was sent from the William Morris Foundation to do some illustrations. Now here she is when she was graduating from university. There she is. She's very proud. She's a bit younger there, and that's when she graduated from university. Here she is when she was doing some field study, and she was collecting specimens so that she could draw very detailed illustrations of them, of the seed pods. And here she is later in life, still out in the park with her old sketchbook. She was drawing and studying plants her whole life. So there's our little story of Edith, but we'll build the story as we go. So that's why we've got some William Morris happening here. So I think I'll stick that down first. I've had quite a bit of fun coming up with these little stories while I've been playing. I was thinking about them while I was stamping Tony's stamps of our characters. But there we go. There's the inside. That looks lovely on there, doesn't it? Now, our cover. I've got a little bit of yellow ribbon that I'm going to use, just very, very fine ribbon, as my closure on this. So let's just cut off a little piece of ribbon. I think that that will be big enough. I've probably got about, well, let's measure it. 2 lengths at around about 27 centimeters each. And I'm just going to tape that on the front around about halfway, and another piece. Yes, I've had these little folders for so long, and I actually have attempted to do this video maybe 2 or 3 times this year. I actually started a video showing them before I went away, but I ran out of time to make them. So I am super happy that I've finally got to use them, because they are junk. They are bits that people would throw away. So I'm glad that I've got to use them for Junky June. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of glue underneath that so that it ends up sticking a little bit better. And you can see that I have got a picture of a lily, and I've just put it on a little bit of cardstock and glammed it up a bit, because it's a bit of a privilege to be able to travel the world going to all different botanical gardens and flower show events to document and illustrate beautiful botanical plants. So I've glammed it up with a little bit of gold cardstock, and then I've also put on just a few stamps as well. Let's burnish that down. There we go. And we'll do the back. It's pretty obvious how I got onto George to create his identity card because I wanted to put one into my cruising journal that is coming to an end. But I'm not sure how I landed on this one with the botanical illustrator. Maybe because I'm interested in botanical illustration as well. Probably not as much as architectural illustration, but I absolutely loved playing with Tony's identity card stamp. I've only used it a few times in the last year, but every time I use it, I love playing with it. You know, you're kind of creating these tiny little stories of different people that don't really exist in reality, but in your little creative world, they do. And they come to life. All right, that's looking nice, isn't it? Nothing difficult so far. So let's just decorate the front cover. I have a little label here. I think that this might be one of Margreth's labels. So I'm going to actually pop that on here. I think I'll cut it down. I've just stamped ID card onto it. And ID Botanical number 5. That's the grouping that Edith is in. I have a little bit of cheesecloth here that I think that I'll scrunch onto here and pop on the front just to make it a little bit more loose, not so perfect. So let's pop that on. And I've just stamped a few little stamps on it. One with her number on it, her official number. And the other thing that I have got is a little piece of fabric that I think that I'm going to stick on the back as if she's got to wear it sometimes on her lapel. So for different events, she is part of a particular group of people. Yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? So I've got a little piece of fabric here that I think I'd like to put on the back with a little piece of her yellow ribbon to indicate that that's her group of people that she occasionally has to wear on her lapel when she goes to different expos. All right, let's stick that on there as if that's her little, almost like a fabric flag that she's got to wear occasionally on her coat. That's pretty good, isn't it? Saying that she's part of the Botanical Illustrators Guild, if there's such a thing. Now let's build the inside. So I've got her identity card here, and it's got her registered number. It's been posted to her, and it's been stamped with the United States stamp saying that she's allowed to go to all these different events and has access. So let's put this in. It looks lovely with the William Morris in the background, doesn't it? All right, now, just like we did on George's, I have just a piece of scrapbook paper and I have it folded so that it can glue on to here, then fold, and then fold and fold. And I think I'm going to turn this into a pocket. So let's just put a rounded corner on that. And I think I'd like to put her photo here, so we'll round that corner too. Yes, that looks good on there, doesn't it? Oh, let's put a little bit of this William Morris illustration. Aren't these images lovely? How you can see the sketching in the background, but then it doesn't have all of the information on it yet. It's just partly there. It's partly coloured in. So I think that I'd like to rip a little bit of this and run that down the edge of this page here. But I think I'd like to ink up this piece of paper and age it a bit because it's looking way too crisp. Now I have a little door stopper here that's got a punched out piece of sandpaper on it, and I've just stuck on a Velcro dot and some Velcro sandpaper, and I use it as a sander. just to sand the paper a little bit. Okay. And now let's ink it a bit as well. Now, do I have any news? Oh, I do have some news. Our grandson, he's been asking my daughter, could he learn the guitar? And yesterday, a guitar came in the mail for him to start guitar lessons. And he is so excited. I think I've mentioned to you before that he does very well. He's very athletic, but he's also very clever. He does well at school. We were saying to him that he should learn guitar because obviously learning an instrument is very, very good for using different side of your brain. All right, I'm going to glue this on now that it's got a little bit of age to it. I possibly can age it a bit more. So I think I'd like to glue that on there. And I also have this photo of Edith when she was working out on the field, taking specimens. So let's ink that up. So he got a new guitar, got delivered yesterday, but it was completely out of tune. And so I used to play the piano. I still can play the piano. I haven't played in years, but it's a little bit like riding a bike, isn't it? And my husband used to play the guitar when he was much younger. When we met, actually, he used to play the guitar. And it's interesting because in my grandson's eyes, my husband, he's Poppy, he can do anything. Well, he couldn't believe it when Poppy said to him, "Here, I'll tune your guitar for you." So, "Do you know how to play, Poppy?" "Yes," he says. Poppy goes, "Yes, I can play. I haven't played for a long time." And, my husband's, not a boaster at all. He's like, "No, I'm not very good. I can't really play very well." And he can't. He can't play the guitar well. He can, strum a few chords, he can read a few chords, and he knows how to tune a guitar, and that's about it, really. But my grandson, his face, he was just flabbergasted. That is like, "This is another thing that you can do, Poppy." And we just were smiling, thinking, the kids are so lovely with just their innocence, aren't they? They just, they bring you so much joy. Anyway, so that was exciting. He's got his guitar ready for next term because they're on school holidays now. They started school holidays yesterday. So he got his guitar in preparation for learning guitar at school next term. All right, you can see that I've just torn that photo a little bit and I'm just roughing up those edges so it doesn't look all perfect. There we go. There's Edith out on the field. What about we put this pocket on, and I'm liking the idea of tearing this William Morris and putting it on here with some swatched colours. All right, so let's do this pocket next. I'll ink up this and we'll stick it here just so that it is hiding that join a little bit. And the other news is that our granddaughter came bounding through the door on Thursday afternoon saying, "Nonna, guess what?" I said, "What, sweetheart?" I said, "How was your day at school?" She said, "Oh, I've had the best day. I've just found out that I'm going to Disney on Ice with my best friend." Her best friend lives around the corner and they're in the same class at school and they get on amazingly well. So anyway, her best friend's mum and my daughter are good friends, and they'd organised to take the two girls to Disney on Ice today, Saturday, and said to them, "Now, you can either dress up in a costume, a Disney costume, or you can dress in something sparkly. Well, they both decided, oh, we're going to dress in something sparkly. And then there was discussions, oh, what have you got, Anyway, so she came in and she said, so Nonna, you and Poppy it was Thursday afternoon, can you and Poppy take me shopping tonight, late night shopping, to get something sparkly to wear to Disney on Ice? And I said, sure, darling. And so my husband, he has not done girl shopping. I don't know in how long. It would have to be maybe 25, 30 years, something like that, since he's done girl shopping. Where you go looking for something, you don't really know what you're going to get, but you've got a bit of an idea of what you want. Well, our granddaughter, all she knew was that she wanted a dress. It had to be a dress. None of this pants and jacket thing. It had to be a dress, and it had to be sparkly, but it couldn't be itchy. And we're like, well, itchy sort of comes with the territory of sparkly. Like if something's sparkly, it's fairly likely that it's going to be a little bit itchy as well. I'm just gluing down this photo of Edith on her graduation day onto the pocket before I glue the pocket down. So we pile in the car. It was our daughter, our granddaughter, and myself and Poppy. He was along for the ride as well because our granddaughter wanted him to come. So I'm just going to glue this pocket closed so that we can slide in some images of Edith and some little bits and pieces. So there she is. This one here, I'm liking the idea of using this with pencil marks on it as if she's testing her pencils. So let's just cut it down a little bit. I'm just going to pull out my Prismacolors and swatch a few colours on here while I'm chatting. So we head into Kmart. No, there's no nice sparkly dresses in here, she says. No, not. And then we think, all right, well, we'll go to H&M. So off we go into H&M. And no, there's no nice sparkly dresses in there either. Well, by this stage, my husband's like to me, how many stores are we going to have to go to? I said, until we find the right dress. And he's like, oh, okay. I thought we were just sort of like going to be coming and then going, getting it and going. I said, no, we've got to find it, darling. We've got to find it. He's like, oh, okay. So I've just pulled out a few pencils and I'm just going to do some swatches and then I'll write the number next to it. So we'll do a swatch like that, as if Edith is testing out what colours that she needs to render with her pencils. But she is an illustrator after all. So we went to H&M. Nothing in H&M. That's when my husband said, so how many stores are we going to go to, darling? I said, until we find it, sweetheart. It's like, I said, just embrace it. How many times are you going to get invited to go shopping for a sparkly dress with your granddaughter? I said, this might be the only time ever. So he's like, yep, okay. So he rests into it and goes, yes, all right. Okay, that's good. We'll just ink up that edge a little bit and stick it on. So we head into Maya and she spots some dresses. She's like, oh, I like that one. We find a few dresses and we find the right size for her and her friend because her friend's one size smaller than her. So we had to not just find her a dress, we had to find that there was enough of the dresses that they liked in the right sizes. So she tries a few dresses on and my husband's thinking, you beauty, like she's going to love that. She's going to love them. We took a few into the change room and we tried a few. Come out? No, none of them. He's like, None of them. I said, no. The one that she liked was scratchy. He's like, yeah, but it's a sparkly dress. It's going to be scratchy. I said, no, we need to keep looking. So we proceeded to go then to Country Road. We went to Seed, and then we went to Target. Well, we found one at Target. All right, this is looking nice, isn't it? So let's now put in some of the things. Now we need to work out what we're doing over here. We need one of these lovely illustrations on here. Oh, that one looks nice, doesn't it? Let's fussy cut out this one and stick it on. So we went in Target. We found one. Like, yes, we found one. We came out and my husband's like, oh, hallelujah, we found one. So then he's like, okay, we can go home. And then she's like, no, Poppy, I need to get some shoes to match. So he couldn't believe it. So we went back and we went and looked at the shoes. And we couldn't find any shoes at Target that she liked. She tried on a pair of shoes. No, I don't like those ones. They're too flat. I want... Oh, and so then we went back to Kmart. And we went back to Maya. We went back to C and H&M. We went back to all the same shops again. We went back to all the same shops again to look for shoes that match the dress. It's like, why didn't we just do this all in one go? I said, because we had to get the dress first before you can get the shoes. Oh, it was absolutely priceless. So anyway, we found some shoes and some stockings, and it took a few hours, but it, it was so funny because it was just one of those moments that you just think he just has no idea what women go through to find clothes and outfits. And he's just, he's like, I can't believe that we've got to go back to all these different shops again. Anyway, that was our experience. And then she was over the moon. And so we found everything. So my daughter took a photo of her and sent it to her friend. Her friend got the same dress. Now, my granddaughter, she's in infants school. So, you know, she's not old. She's little. So then about, I don't know, maybe 2 hours ago, our granddaughter come bounding down to show us she'd got dressed, ready to go to the event. And so I'm just going to glue this on, and you can see I've got a few little tickets and things to go in to build the story. So she came down and she was fully dressed in her beautiful new outfit. We're going to Disney on Ice. I said, oh, darling, you look beautiful. And then she's like, oh, look at my shoes. They look lovely. And stocking. She did. She looked gorgeous. And she was all sparkly and she looked lovely. So she wanted to show Poppy. And so she went and found him. And so I'm just going to glue this ticket on. It's just a stamped ticket out of my stash on some scrap card. And I've got that fussy cut image. So let's put some glue on that. And she went and showed him, and she looked lovely. She was over the moon. And surprisingly, the funniest thing in the whole story is that he found the dress. When we're in Target, we're all looking around. We all went in different directions looking for different dresses because, you know, it seemed to be going on and on and on. And so he actually ended up finding the dress. And so she was over the moon that he had found the dress. So it's the dress that Poppy found. Anyway, it was one of those moments that in time that we could have missed. And it was hilarious. What was hilarious was him, really. Him just thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to go on for ages. Is this what normally happens when you all go shopping? Because he just wears whatever I buy him. He doesn't really care. Anyway, so I said to him, yes, this is what happens. So, all right, we've got a few little tickets and things in there. And let's put in our postcard. I've got a few spare little botanicals that I'll put into my stash. We've got our photo of Edith here. Let's ink that up. So yes, it was one of those little moments in time that we could have easily have missed that if we were both busy. We're always busy, but she's come down so excited and she said, can you come shopping? My daughter was taking her shopping. We didn't have to go, like she wanted us to go so badly. We're just like, yes, we'll go. And we would have missed that whole experience if we were just constantly thinking, oh, we're too busy. I was so thrilled that we'd stop because my daughter and I, we were in hysterics. We were just laughing so much at Poppy when his face, when we said, no, now we've got to look for shoes. Now we've got to look for shoes and we've got to go back and look for shoes. Okay, we've got I trimmed that postcard down so it fitted, and we've got a photo of Edith in older age. So, and we'll stick that in there. We've got a few little tickets and things. I possibly could add a few more stamps and bits and pieces, but I don't want it to get too thick. It's already starting to gator mouth a little bit. All right, I've added that to my nature's journal, and it looks pretty good in there. It's a little bit chunky, but it is pretty good. It's swinging in there fine, and the journal is closing fine as well. Like it's not, restricting its movement or anything. It's plenty of room in there still. But yeah, they're pretty cute and they have a really fun story to them. So I hope you really enjoyed those today. They're our ID card mini journals. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. That would be wonderful. And think about subscribing to the channel. And leave a comment below about what you think about our stories today. I really enjoyed telling you a couple of stories, one about George and his adventures on the high seas, and one about Edith, who is drawing her way around the world, and also the story of my husband experiencing shopping for sparkly clothes with my granddaughter. I think that was the funniest story for today. All right. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with me. I really appreciate you watching and leaving such encouraging and lovely comments. I really enjoy reading all of the things that you've got to say, and hopefully you really like this project today. All right, that's all from me today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend making something fun and new, and I will see you on Tuesday where we actually load up our cruising journal together and put all of those cruising themed things in that I've been working on, and also some of the things out of my collection, some projects from last year even that will work in the journal. So I'll see you on Tuesday for that. But otherwise, have a great weekend and thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.